So it's time we have a look at those playoff semi-final first legs. Then Wycombe, they host MK Dons, and Sheffield Wednesday, they travel to Sunderland. Some absolutely gigantic games. I cannot wait to watch them. I can't wait to analyse them. We're going to be reacting to them as well at full time. Honestly, I cannot wait for them. Though Oxford United aren't in the playoffs this year, we're going to have some fascinating games of football. We're previewing and predicting them today, breaking the games down. What should we expect from these matches? Of course, I want to hear from you in the comments down below. What do you expect from these games? Of course, we're probably going to have a lot of fans of the teams that are going to be competing in those playoffs this year. Let me know in the comments down below. What are you expecting and what are you predicting for your team? I know, very nervy predicting your team in the playoffs because it is a little bit, I wouldn't say lottery, but it's a different breed of football. Let me know in the comments down below. I'll be intrigued to see what you've got to say, and I'll be replying and responding to all of them as per usual. If you like and subscribe if you haven't already, I'd like to see if it maybe warrants a like later on in the episode, but certainly hit the subscribe button. Lots of content coming your way. You do not want to miss out some of the exciting stuff we've got surrounding the playoffs and the entire league as a whole, and hit the notification bell next to it. That way you'll be notified when I go live or do a recorded episode just like this one. So let's start off then with Wycombe against MK Dons then. And to be honest with you, could you find a more contrasting game of football when it comes to styles of play? Probably not. And it's going to be a playoff semi-final, and that I simply cannot wait for. It's starting at Wycombe, of course. The first leg will be played at Wycombe because they, of course, finished 6th. MK Dons maybe a little bit unlucky not to be automatically going up. They have to forget about that. Now they're in these playoffs. And like I say, could you find a more contrasting style of play when it comes to two sides? Probably not. Wycombe, very direct. They like to play off their strikers of Sam Vokes, of Bannan. They like to play off those centre forwards. They like to really get the ball up the field as quickly as they possibly can. Very direct. In fact, they have the highest speed of 2.27 of how quickly the ball is progressed up the field. Very direct. That's the highest in the league, 2.27 seconds. And well, they have the lowest 10-plus pass open play sequences. You can see on the screen right now. We have a look at build-up attacks. MK Dons are top with 113, but you've got to keep scrolling down here. Wycombe have 9. 9 build-up attacks across the league compared to MK Dons. Their opposition, 113. Of course, the definition of a build-up attack is pretty self-explanatory. It's what you can imagine, really, but it's the open play sequences that contain 10 or more passes and either end in a shot or is at least one touch in the box. So, again, they don't like to play short, sharp, non-direct passes. They like to get the ball in the penalty area as quickly as they can. Very direct. As for MK Dons, they have the most build-up attacks. They also have the most 10-plus pass open play sequences, similar to build-up attacks, but in this case, it doesn't have to end in a shot. You can see MK Dons, top of that, 531, clear of Ipswich as well, who are in second. But you've got to keep scrolling down here for bottom. Wycombe Wanderers in last on 24 open play sequences of 10-plus passes, which is actually a difference in the end of 507 passes. So very contrasting, very different, and that is why I think this over the two legs, I think is going to be an absolutely intriguing game of football. Two sides and two managers, Gareth Ainsworth and Liam Bannan, they've got very different ideas of how football they believe should be played. And and the crazy thing about this is both sides as well are in the playoffs. So both of them had a very good season. And that sounds like I've got to say that, and that sounds quite a stupid thing to say, but it's true. You've got two sides, 3rd and 6th in Sky Bet League One, who play completely different styles of play, but are getting results. In fact, they've got a similar amount of goals scored. Wycombe have got 58 total goals scored. MK Dons have got 57. Only one goal between them in terms of how many goals they've scored in total across the season. And you can see there the difference in the way they play. That's absolutely fascinating, and that shows that both styles work in Sky Bet League One. Both sides work for these managers and work, most importantly, for these players, because you've got a very different type of player within each of these squads, but they work brilliantly well and they understand the philosophy of their said manager, and that's when they get results. So not easily, but they get results much more often than a lot of teams do in this league, and hence why they are in the very high positions in League One. And they're looking more in detail of MK Dons and definitely shouting the praise of MK Dons this season. The way they play is definitely, I'd say, the more attractive. I don't mind saying that. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way towards Wycombe. I don't think they'll admit they play the most attractive football in the league. And MK Dons play very attractive, a very attractive brand of football. Very short, sharp passing. Like to really break up the opposition in a more patient way, but very quick on the ball. They like having the ball, like being very possession based, like dictating the game, if you like. And that's exactly what MK Dons are going to want to try and and do. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy against Wycombe because we know what Wycombe can do. They split second, the ball's progressed up the pitch, very, very direct, get it up to their striker, and they can cause a problems. They've got Joe Jacobson on one side as well. They've got Obita also on those different flanks as well. They've got that very, very... The width can be offered through the fullbacks. The width can be offered through those wide players as well. They can put a ball into the penalty area. In a split second, that game can change. And you've got a player, and you've got players within that Wycombe side that can ultimately change the game in a split second. Wycombe could have all the ball, but a change in transition, a quick change of play, and Wycombe are on the front foot, and they're winning the game out of absolutely nothing. And that's what Wycombe can do. That's what Gareth Ainsworth and Wycombe are able to do. Define those expectations. They always seem to find a way of getting something from games. Not all the time, because they've lost games this season, but you know what I mean? They've got a very, very good track record of when it matters, in those pressured moments, Wycombe can find a way of breaking down that opposition. Not maybe the most attractive way, like MK Dons will try and do, but definitely in a very, very frustrating way. And if they go 1-0 up, I think this game could be they'll try and kill the game straight away. If they go 1-0 up, I don't think it'd be the best watch for those sides watching, those people watching on Sky Sports and for the neutrals, because Wycombe are going to, and for MK Dons, I should say as well, if they go 1-0 up, they're going to try and kill the game off, especially in the first leg, and it probably would be the second leg as well, depending on what the score is going into that second leg. If I'm going to predict the game as well, to be honest, I think MK Dons will dominate the ball. I think MK Dons will dominate the ball in both legs because Wycombe just don't have a track record of dominating the ball pretty much wherever they go. In fact, their average possession is under 50%. They don't like having the ball. They won't mind having the ball, but it's not... I say don't like it. They just don't think it's necessary. They don't think they need the ball to win games of football. And it clearly... And to score goals and to be effective. And we've got evidence to suggest there that absolutely is true. They don't need the ball to be successful because Wycombe, they got promoted 2 years ago out of League One. Again, against Oxford in the playoff final. It was an absolute... They deserve to win on the day, but they were just so physical. They're very, they'll be a strong side. They'll try and bully MK Dons, they'll try and bully their opposition, and they're going to upset their opposition as well. Like I said, if they go 1-0 up, I think it's going to be really, really quite it probably would be quite a tough watch because it's going to be a very, very physical an attempt to kill the game off there as well, not give MK Dons a sniff, and probably be quite happy with MK Dons having the ball, but definitely drop a little bit deeper. And MK Dons will try and initially play with a really, really quite high line. We know the three at the back they play. We know the quality they've got. We know the amazing individuals they've got as well. We talk about Scott Twine. You can have a little look of him on the screen right now. Scott Twine has got 20 goals this season, 13 assists, 17 big chances created. He's the player in a game like this where that's a moment of magic player. It's somebody that in a game, in tough situations where maybe you are struggling to create some chances, because Wycombe are brilliant defensively, very good defensively. And like I said, they're not the most attractive going forward, but they definitely do hit the back of the net a lot of the time. But someone like Scott Twine who can just create a moment of brilliance. And in a game like this, in a playoff semi-final, and a playoff final, in a playoff campaign, I'd say, Scott Twine's the perfect player to have. And he's shown this season he can do that. We look at the final game of the season. That was almost a playoff game on itself. Plymouth had so much to play for to get into those playoffs. MK Dons had a lot to play for in terms of getting out of the league. It almost felt a bit like, when I was building it up, like it was a playoff game. Although both sides had aspirations to sort of get to very different things. MK Dons try and get automatically promoted, Plymouth to stay in those playoff places and finish in that top six. It felt like one of those games, very, very, I expected a tight game, absolutely not in the end, and a lot of reasons why that wasn't the case. But you can see here, Scott Twine hitting 4 goals, a free kick, a variety of goals. He's the player that can just get hold of games and just, I guess, create moments of magic and do absolutely outstanding things. 4 goals in one game against Plymouth Argyle, who have been brilliant this season. That just doesn't happen for so many players. But for Scott Twine, he can make that happen. He's done that throughout the season as well. So certainly a player to watch out for. Like I said, for Wycombe Wanderers, you've got players like Joe Jacobson on that left-hand side. He's going to be very, very creative. I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll try and put a ball in the penalty box a lot of the time. Very, very attacking on that left-hand side. We also got players like Sam Vokes as well, who obviously the ex-Burnley man. He'll get hold of a game. They like to use their strikers. He'll try and hold at the ball as well. I definitely back him to try and get a goal over the 2 legs. I can definitely see that happening. Very, very clinical striker as well. But what he does off the ball is very, very effective. And Wycombe, the way they play, they definitely like using Sam Vokes in a variety of different ways, as well as him using him as that brilliant striker that we know he is. So in terms of predicting the game, it's so difficult because, like I said, I've already spoken about 2 sides that play contrasting styles of play, very, very different ways of playing football, but have had brilliant, brilliant seasons, and I think definitely deserve to be where they are. And we'll have a look at, again, people want to know my prediction. People want to know it. And, of course, I'm only doing the first leg. I'll be doing my second predictions episode probably on Saturday because that's the day in between the two semi-final first and second legs. I'll do my predictions based off the actual scores. So I'm only going to be doing the first leg predictions here. Of course, Wycombe being at home, they are the bookies' favourites as well, so the home advantage probably does come into consideration when the bookies are doing that. And, again, I can expect the first leg to be quite edgy. Neither side wanted to make a mistake, and that'll be coming for the Sunderland-Sheffield Wednesday game as well. I can see that happening in that one. I think both sides in the first leg of a playoff game, you don't want to make a mistake. You don't want to go into that second leg being 3-0 down, 2-0 down, especially not the home side. You don't want to be going to Wycombe, don't want to be going to MK Dons 2-0 down. That's a really quite uphill battle away from home. So again, you definitely don't want that. So it's going to be quite edgy. I can see it being quite edgy. I can see a goal in the game. I can see in the end I've predicted 1-1. I don't know whether or not that's going to be the case. Obviously it's a prediction, but I can see it being quite edgy. I think MK Dons will definitely dominate the ball. If MK Dons don't have the overall most possession across the two legs, I'll be absolutely baffled, because they definitely should do the way they like to play. They should keep hold of the ball, especially that Wycombe don't really feel like it's necessary. In the way they play, they don't need the ball as much as MK Dons say they would. And one thing you've always got to remember as well, and it's definitely something that you can back up, but it's not the most statistical analyst piece of information for you. But Wycombe always find a way of nicking goals and under pressure situations, getting results. And it's the truth. It's the harsh truth that Oxford United have had to feel 2 years ago at Wembley, although we weren't there. But of course, that playoff final when we lost 2-1 in the end. I mean, a lot of teams have faced it this season in league. We have as well. We lost 2-0 to them away from home. And again, they went 1-0 up. They dominated. They bullied us. We didn't let us get us hold of the ball. Didn't allow us to play the way we would have wanted to play. And that's exactly what Wycombe are going to want to do. Try and slow the game down and try and make MK Dons change the way they play, but most importantly, stop the way that they most importantly play, and stop MK Dons being as effective as possible. Because MK Dons have a very, very clear style of play, and if MK Dons can stop that, and if they can completely, suffocate the way that MK Dons play, I think we're going to have a really, really interesting game on our hands. Maybe not the best to watch, but certainly a fascinating game in which you're going to see Wycombe be very, very good defensively, as they've proven this season. I'm really intrigued going into this first leg. So I'm going to go with 1-1. Let me know, MK Dons fans. Let me know, Wycombe fans, in the comments down below. I want to hear your predictions. I want to hear from you going into this first leg. Let me know if I've got any of this right, really, and you think you agree with this, or maybe I'm going off the completely wrong track, and maybe you've got a different direction of where you see this game going. I can see an edgy game. MK Dons dominate the ball. 1-1 is what I'm going with. I think MK Dons as well, it's important to say, confidence is massive. They've just beaten Plymouth Argyle away from home 5-0. They're certainly not going to be short of confidence, and that could be huge going into the final, going into this first leg in the playoffs. But again, you've got Wycombe, who also beat Burton. But I think Burton beating Burton 2-1 and beating Plymouth 5-0, I think that could be the difference. So I'm going to go with 1-1. But let me know, like I said, in the comments down below. So then let's have a look at Sunderland against Sheffield Wednesday. We'll have a look at the away side first. Look at Sheffield Wednesday's formation in a little bit more detail. On the offensive, it's definitely a 3-5-2. Definitely a 3-5-2. Exactly how you'd see it. With enjoying the width and the high fullbacks of Marvin Johnson and Jack Hunt. Definitely playing as that 5. Almost playing as wide midfielders and wingers in that formation. Adding numbers going forward. They definitely try and overload those the fullbacks / those flanks, really, with that very, very, I'd say dangerous, but it works so much because you've got the work rate of Marvin Johnson to come back and help out in those defensive areas of the field. In more defensive and pressure situations, it's a very, very easy transition. It can turn into a 5-3-2. Easy as tucking Marvin Johnson and Jack Hunt playing as more traditional wing-backs in that back 5. It's an easy transition to make, and it adds defensive numbers in the defensive third. Very, very easy to do. And under pressure, and Sunderland will try and offer pressure in this first leg, being the home side. Sheffield Wednesday, for a lot of this game, well, I say a lot of the game, I can't predict that, but I imagine for majority of this game, they will be trying to play maybe a little bit more cautious, taking the game to Hillsborough, trying to win the game at Hillsborough, or even if they can, of course, trying to hold out a lead at Hillsborough if that is a possibility. But at the very least, taking a serious chance of going through to Hillsborough in that away leg. They might have to play a little bit deeper with those fullbacks, because, again, we'll come to Sunderland's formation in just a minute, it's a little bit similar. So looking at Sheffield Wednesday in that recent form, 1 defeat in their last 11, so very, very good form, but it had to be good form. The amount of sides trying to climb their way into the top 6, the competitivity to finish in those playoff places, you had to be in good form, and 1 defeat in the last 11 certainly is that. They've got the 5th most goals scored in the league as well, 54 goals. Actually, only 5 goals behind the teams in top spot. Bolton and Oxford finishing on 59 goals across the campaign. So, I mean, Sheffield Wednesday, they score goals as well. They've got the 2nd highest XG in the league as well. So, of course, that's expected goals. And they don't concede many goals at all either. The 3rd least goals conceded. You can see on the screen right now, have a look at goals against. You can see here XG on this table here. Again, very, very high up, if you like, with XG for expected goals against. Well, not high up, but least amount of goals. But of course, that does promote them higher in the table. You can see here compared to Doncaster's 56th. They're on 28.7. Very, very close to the 3rd, Rotherham United. In terms of goals conceded, you can see here 26 goals conceded. Not many goals at all in it with Rotherham and Wigan, who went up, of course, automatically. So 3rd in the league there as well. So they don't concede many goals. Like I said, going forward, just to definitely prove this, looking at a more visual perspective, you can see here they've got maybe not the most goals scored with 54, but certainly, like you said there, it is joint, a joint with Ipswich Town, and only 5 goals, like I said, difference between Bolton and Oxford, who are in top spot. Like I said, joint 5th in the league for them. A player to watch out for Sheffield Wednesday, they'd have to be Barry Bannan. Again, they've got a lot of players. Lee Gregory, the entire squad really for Sheffield Wednesday has been very, very good this season. They've got some brilliant individuals. But if I had to highlight one, it's Barry Bannan. 9 goals and 12 assists, 14 big chances created. Such a creative spark that can easily provide a moment of magic, similar to Scott Twine in what could be an edgy game for MK Dons against Wycombe, similar to for Barry Bannan in this one against Sunderland. A moment of magic. These playoff games can turn at points to be quite slow, especially in the first leg where you don't want to make a mistake, and there can be games where they die off a little bit, moments, and you sort of you think, is this game going to get alive? It needs a goal, it needs someone to sort of get hold of it and create something out of nothing, and Barry Bannan's that type of player, and he's going to be, I think, if there's someone that I can go, right, Sheffield Wednesday, away from home, the game's going a little bit quiet, maybe Sunderland are 1-0 up, and Sheffield Wednesday don't look like they're getting a momentum in the game, don't look like they're getting a rhythm. Barry Bannan can hit a shot, and just like the tides have turned, the momentum completely switches, and Sheffield Wednesday can get hold of the game, and who knows what could happen. But that's just an example. And Barry Bannan can easily do that. And you can see there with those statistics: 9 goals, 12 assists, the chances, the XG that he's created this season for Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, look at how hard they were on the XG table I just showed you a minute ago. Barry Bannan's a key part of that in terms of creating those chances and creating those expected goals, if you like. And a highlight again, the edgy games, the edgy moment in games. Barry Bannan can hit your 40-yard scream like he did against MK Dons. He can provide that spark that will lift the players, and that could be the difference. That could be the goal between going through and not going through. And he could do the same in the final as well. That could win you the tie. So I think Barry Bannan's going to be such an important player. Like I said, a lot of Sheffield Wednesday players can do that, but if I had to highlight one, Barry Bannan would be that man. In terms of Sunderland, and the reason why I sort of highlighted the formation side of it is because they both play that 3-5-2, usually set up the same way as Sheffield Wednesday, Sunderland, in terms of formation and the system. They enjoy using prominently wingers in those fullback situations. Lyndon Gooch can do that. Jack Clark can do that as well, the loanee from Tottenham Hotspur. They're just examples. Other players can do that. Daniel O'Neill can do that. So a lot of players can do that, as wide midfielders, wingers, fullbacks. They almost sort of mould into one and merge into one, which is really, really interesting. And that again offers those attacking numbers. And Alex Neil loves doing that. Alex Neil similarly did that at Preston, and he likes to have players that almost play as wingers in those wide areas, should I say? And they can easily then tuck in. And Lyndon Gooch and Jack Clark, you can trust them to play a little bit deeper in those pressure situations in the defensive third. They like to use the back three, but very, very attacking with those wide players. And again, that's becoming even more common and very common in the modern game. And like I said, Sheffield Wednesday do something very, very similar. In terms of Sunderland's form, 13 games unbeaten and an absolutely relentless form. And that could be, again, a huge positive and a huge confidence for them. They don't know what it feels like to lose in recent weeks and in 13 games to be specific. And since Alex Neil has come in, it took a while for him to really adjust and sort of really get going. But now he's done that. He's got them ticking. He's got them playing a really, really good brand of football. Very, very confident Sunderland side. And also as well, they're shored up defensively. Much better defensively. And that was a real problem to Lee Johnson for Sunderland, I would say. Having a look at a statistical perspective for Sunderland, they've got the 4th most goals scored in the league as well at 476. The 5th most set pieces scored as well at 19. So we haven't really spoken about set pieces. Wycombe do tend to use set pieces quite a lot, but Sunderland as well, you can see here, 5th most set pieces scored of 19. You've got to be careful from those free kicks, from those corners. Very, very good from dead balls. And in terms of a player to watch out for, I highlighted Barry Bannan for Sheffield Wednesday. It's probably got to be Ross Stewart for Sunderland, hasn't it? Again, there's a lot of players. Evans can do that. They've got some very, very good players. Mateta, I like looking at Mateta against Plymouth. I thought he was really, really good, real battler in that midfield. But I'm going to go with Ross Stewart. Of course, he's the league top goal scorer, Sunderland's top goal scorer as well. Great height, great physicality, and enjoys getting in behind. Very, very, like I said, I highlight the height and I highlight the physicality. He's going to try and get off that last man as a defender. Again, he's a very, very good finisher as well. So, Ross Stewart, again, he's a man similar to Barry Bannan, not in type of player, but in terms of the type of player that can create moments out of nothing and can sort of get you a goal maybe where you don't quite deserve it or where you're not really on top, and that can just completely change the game and turn the tide. So I definitely would watch out for Ross Stewart. You won't miss him. He's a very, very tall striker for Sunderland. The very next to Nathan Broadhead as well. He's going to be brilliant. I think Nathan Broadhead's had a really, really good season. So I think next to him and Ross Stewart have worked really, really well. But similar to Barry Bannan, a moment from nothing. They're the type of players I'd expect that from. In terms of comparing the two sides, Sheffield Wednesday have got an average possession of 54%. Sunderland's average possession is 56% across the season. Both sides have prominently dominated their games of football. They have prominently both enjoyed having the ball in their games across the game. So both sides, if they like controlling the game, how's that going to happen? I think that's going to be fascinating, how this game's going to pan out when you've got two sides that like having the ball. Completely dissimilar to the other game with Wycombe against MK Dons. MK Dons, they love having the ball. They dominate the ball in pretty much every game they play. Wycombe, they don't feel like they have to do that, and they have another way of playing. So you'd sort of easily say MK Dons should dominate the game in both legs. But in this one, I think in this sort of instance, it's very, very likely that the home side of each leg will probably win possession. I think that will probably be the case. I think you'll probably find that in the first leg, Sunderland will probably slightly edge it, and in the second leg, Sheffield Wednesday will slightly edge it. But again, it could completely change because if Sunderland go 2-0 up and Sheffield Wednesday have got to get 2 goals going into the second leg, then Sheffield Wednesday, I think, could absolutely wipe the floor of Sunderland. What I say is it could be very, very tight. And again, depending on how the game pans out, especially in this first leg, and in moments in the game as well, that can completely change. But I thought that'd be really interesting to highlight. Both sides like having the ball. How's that going to pan out? How's that going to be when you look at sides both having the possession, like controlling the game, like dictating the tempo of matches? How will that sort of really, create a game of football? What will that be like to watch? In terms of the bookies, Sunderland are the slight favourite, so it's going to be a very, very tight game. I highlight the word slight favourite. It is very, very, very tight. In fact, I can bring it up on the screen now if I just move away from Wycombe against MK Dons. Again, that's quite tight as well, but Wycombe slight favourites, especially in this home leg. Why have I clicked on MK Dons again? Let's have a look at, here we go, Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday. First leg, the odds have only just come out, by the way. You can see here, 8-5 Sunderland, Sheffield Wednesday 7-4, 38 and 36% that is. Of course, both sides actually do worse when they have those odds, 28-31. So in terms of specific odds, Sheffield Wednesday slightly edged them. In terms of the bookies' odds at face value, it's a very, very slight advantage for Sunderland. So very, very tight. And I expect a tight game. Two sides in very, very good form who are enjoying very, very good seasons. Both sides as well, dipping in and out the playoffs in recent weeks, but have both ended the season really, really strongly and are in those playoff places without a shadow of a doubt, with certain, I'd say, confidence now, and also I'd say deservement. I think they've been brilliant. Now, have a look at the away form. I'd have a look at the away form. Have a look at the home form. That'd be really quite interesting to break down. Sunderland, they have the second best home record behind Sheffield Wednesday. So, Sunderland and Sheffield Wednesday, the top two sides at home with the best record. 23 games at home for Sunderland, 16 wins, 3 draws, 4 losses. That's 51 points alone at home. Sheffield Wednesday, very, very mixed away record. Have a look at their away record, of course, this first leg. 8 wins, 8 draws, 7 losses. Very, very inconsistent Sheffield Wednesday away from home. And like I said, Sunderland, the second best home record behind Sheffield Wednesday. So the second leg, Sheffield Wednesday, probably going to be slight favourites in this one. That's why I think Sunderland are definitely favourites in this one. Sunderland, very, very good home record compared to Sheffield Wednesday, who are away in this game, obviously. And again, Sheffield Wednesday's a very, very mixed away record. 8 wins, 8 draws, 7 losses. Very, very inconsistent. They're probably I think they are 9th, 10th for away record, a table on their own. That's really interesting. So I had to predict it. You want to hear my predictions, what a lot of you are here for. I was going to sit on the fence because I went with 1-1, of course, for the Wycombe MK Dons game. So I can't really go 1-1 again. So I have gone with the bookies. I've gone with a tight Sunderland edge win 2-1 for this first leg. But again, it's going to be so tight, and it could easily be 1-1. I was so close to going 1-1, but I thought I'm going to slightly put my neck on the line a little bit and show a bit of balls and go with Sunderland with 2-1. So that's what I've gone with. But let me know, Sheffield Wednesday fans. Let me know, Sunderland fans, in the comments down below. Of course, I'm predicting the second leg based on the actual results. I doubt I've got any of these predictions right because the predictions this season have been a little bit AWOL. And of course, I'll be reacting to my League One predictions in terms of the table. That's a video I've already recorded. Look forward to getting that out really, really soon. But we're very playoff heavy at the moment, so we've got to really take in the playoffs because it's going to be very, very fascinating. Like I said, let me know in the comments down below what you should expect from these games, what your predictions, how you think these games will pan out. Like I said, I'll be looking, reading, responding to them as per usual. Leave a like if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the notification bell. So much content, reactions to the games at full time, digesting, analysing, breaking down these matches in the playoffs. Very, very exciting, interesting times. And yeah, I'll see you very, very soon. I've been Jack. This has been the Unfan Podcast. I'll see you later. See you in a bit.